Please welcome with me Victor Thomas, our 125th President of the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce.
Wow. I'm literally blown away. Blown away by each and every one of you who have taken the time to be here this evening. And by the dozens of emails, letters, phone calls, voice messages, and even text messages I've received the last few weeks. Thank you. I want to thank Andrew Scheer, Deputy Speaker of the House. Thank you for your words. I want to thank Deputy Premier Ken Kravets for coming, and thank you for your kind personal words as well. Councillor Fugier, thank you, as well as Andrew and Jen. You guys, Jen, I don't know how you make it through with this guy, but it's the coffee intake that's always the amazing thing that Andrew does. But seriously, Andrew, you've done an amazing job this year, and it's been a pleasure working with you. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Brian Chalmers from the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce, who's the president there. Having Brian up here represents the strong partnership that Regina and Saskatoon share in terms of our chambers. Thank you for being here. I also want to recognize our CEO, John Hopkins, who has now been with this organization for 10 years and has served this organization very, very generously. Thank all of our staff who work year-round at the different events. These kinds of things do not happen by accident, and specifically tonight, Jeanette Tanita, for her hard work. It's amazing to think that this chamber is 125 years old. Let's just go back to 1886 for a brief few minutes and just think about it. 1886, this is 25 years previous to the first maiden voyage of the Titanic. 1886 had the birth of the first Coca-Cola product, which happened to have cocaine in it. In 1886, there was an event in a place called Tuxedo, New York, where they wore dinner jackets, and as a result, the jacket I'm wearing right now is called a tuxedo. The city of Vancouver was incorporated in 1886. Queen Victoria was the Queen of England, and this community was very different. In Regina, there was only a few things that we'd recognize today. The leader, which is now the Regina Leader Post, and the RCMP depot, just to mention a few, was only 1 year old when this chamber started. The population here was less than 0.5%. There was only 1,000 people in all of Regina. And the landscape would have been very different. Just think about yesterday and the cold weather, having to be outside and not having a very warm place to be in. I don't know about you, when I woke up this morning, I turned on the hot water to take a shower, and my hot water didn't come on right away. I didn't like it. Our chamber, then the Board of Trade, was around before the incorporation of our city and our province, as you heard in the video. This community was formed on the back of business, coming together and saying we can do more together than we can do alone. Throughout the past 125 years, we have moved from a have-not to a have community. Earlier, we watched a clip in terms of the history of this place, and I just want to talk, even personally, you saw one guy on there named Mr. Jim Park, and I want to talk about my first experience with Mr. Jim Park. Just to put this in context, it was 6:15 in the morning. It was 8 years ago, and I remember it very vividly because I was not usually used to getting up that early. I couldn't believe all my clothes were set out, and I was going to go to my first Chamber of Commerce event. So I remember getting in the car, driving. I couldn't believe that there was actually cars out as people were driving to some type of work or activity. As I continued on, I got to the location, and in my car, I saw the other people walking into this event. And all of a sudden, fear paralyzed me. I noticed that I was different, and that maybe my adventure in terms of getting involved more in this community may be a little more challenging than I thought. But then I mustered up all the courage I had, and I decided to get out of my car and go into that hotel. And there, when I walked into that hotel, was a man. Our eyes locked. He was wearing a bright green jacket, and he had his hand out, held high and open. I shook his hand, and immediately at that very moment, I was truly connected to this Chamber of Commerce. And that man, of course, is Mr. Jim Park. And Jim, I think it was maybe because I was scared, it's maybe because I didn't know if I would feel welcomed, but his welcome to me was so impactful. I was hooked, and since then I've been very involved. Jim? Where's Jim? Jim,